What's up, readers? Today, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different and allowing you to focus on what your thinking is like as you read, which means I'm going to give you some tips to help lift the level of your writing about your reading. Let's check it out. So here's the deal. There are some common things that I notice with all of you as far as how engaged you are in your writing. Sometimes we just don't care about the book we're reading that much and we just want to get through it. And we're not really thinking that much because we're speeding ahead. It's not going to help your writing about what you read, and it won't help you what you share with your partner. The other thing is sometimes we love our books so much that we don't want to pump the brakes and slow down. We don't want to pause. We don't want to have to set down this page turner that we love so much. And I get where both of those things are at. Even though I am a reading and writing teacher, there are books that I haven't liked and I've just tried to get through. And often it's when I'm in a book club reading about a genre of books that I'm not into. So, hey, I get it. But in all of those situations, whether it was my favorite book or least favorite book, I still had to make sure that I was pausing to think. Otherwise, my writing is just not going to take off, and neither will my thinking. Therefore, it's best if we're able to capture things that are the best thinking we have instead of the first thinking we have. That first thinking sometimes is just like, hey, let's get this done. It popped into my head, must be good enough. But we want to push deeper. And so here are some tips on how. Tip number one, which I think that you're actually going to really like, is good readers. They actually only spend about 10% of their time writing about their reading. They prioritize quality over quantity. So that means we want to think about our best thoughts and put those down instead of writing everything that comes into our head. Tip number two. Sometimes when we're thinking about our reading and then we're writing about it, it's important to not jot the things we obviously know. You're like, what? Well, if you already know them and you already have those connections in your head, it's not important to put them down. We're not going to forget those things. It's important to write down ideas that we're investigating, like what's going on in this relationship, right? So if we're thinking about Harry Potter, we might be thinking, hey, like, what's going on between Hermione and Ron? And we would be investigating that and noticing it. In our heads, we probably already knew, like, hey, Harry and Ron are best friends. We don't need to write that down. We're not going to investigate that. Okay, next tip. Tip 3. When you have a thought, we don't want to actually jot it down that quickly or automatically. We want to think to ourselves, so what? I have that thought, and what's that make me think of? This pushes our thinking so that it goes deeper. We want to think deeply about our books, not just whatever pops into our head. Okay. The last tip is decide what kind of writing best suits you as a reader. For example, it's good to put our thinking inside a book with post-it notes, or if you own it, you can write inside the book, on it. That might scare you, would scare me, and maybe you don't even have post-it notes. Maybe you just need to take little pieces of notebook paper and put them inside each of the pages like bookmarks. Maybe, in order to trace an idea over time to figure out what's going on, you need to sketch out a timeline that goes from the beginning when you started to think of this idea to things that happened later on. Maybe it's a chart of these ideas that you keep track of. And then, you can always combine post-it notes with all of that. The idea is that when we get an idea, it should be a quality one that we can think long about and grow it into a bigger, more complex idea about our book. Right now, I want you to share with your partners out of those tips and the kinds of ways that we can record information about our book, which one is going to suit you the best? What are you going to make sure that you're doing as you're reading on your own these next 30 minutes? Share with your partners. Pause the video, pause the video, pause the video, pause the video. Okay, so today, readers, you are going to be making a goal for yourself in your assignment, and then you have an area in your assignment where you are taking notes, your jots, those little ideas you're having as you read your 30 minutes today. That means that I'm giving you enough space as a suggestion for how much you should write. If you find you fill that up quickly, it probably means that we need to think more about quality. If you find that you barely fill it up, it means you're probably not pausing enough to add those ideas. Okay, writers. I know, not many pauses today. Not a lot of time to talk to your partners, but it's because I want you to get into that reading and to get you practice and more practice at jotting down those quality ideas that we're going to grow into bigger ones. Until I see you next time, happy reading.